interrupted. My phone rung twice. This is a continuation. I'm jumping right into Genesis 32. Amen. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When they saw him, Jacob said, "This is God's army." He called the name of that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers in front of him to Esau, his brother, to the land of Seir, the field of Edom. He commanded them, saying, "This is what you shall tell my lord Esau. This is what your servant Jacob says. I have lived as a foreigner with Laban and stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, flock, male servants, and female servants. I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find favor in your sight." The messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau. He is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." Then Jacob was greatly afraid and was distressed. He divided the people who were with him, along with the flocks, the herds, and the camels, into two companies. He said, "If Esau comes to the one company and strikes it, then the company which is left will escape." Jacob said, "God of my father Abraham and God of my father Isaac, Yahweh, who said to me, 'Return to your country and to your relatives, and I will do you good.' I am not worthy of the least of all the loving kindness and of all the truth which you have shown to your servant. For with just my staff I crossed over this Jordan, and now I have become two companies. Please deliver me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and strike me and the mothers with the children. You said, I will surely do you good and make your offspring as the sand of the sea, which can't be counted because there are so many." He stayed there that night and took from that which he had him a present for Esau, his brother, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels and their colts, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 foals. Foals. He delivered them into the hands of his servants, every herd by itself, and said to the servants, "Pass over before me and put a space between herd and herd." He commanded the foremost, saying, "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, saying, 'Whose are you? Where are you going? Whose are these before you?' Then you shall say, 'They are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau. Behold, he is also behind us.'" He commanded also the second and the third, and that followed the herd, saying, "This is how you shall speak to Esau when you find him. You shall say, 'Not only that, but behold, your servant Jacob is behind us.' For he said, 'I will appease him with the presents that go before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.'" So he's trying to bribe him, right? And that's exactly what he's trying to do. So the present passed over before him, and he himself stayed that night in the camp. And he rose up that night, and he took his two wives and the servants and the sons and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. He took them and sent them over the stream and sent them over which he had. Jacob was left alone and wrestled with a man there until the breaking of the day. When he saw that that he didn't prevail against him, the man touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was strained as he wrestled. The man said, "Let me go, for the day breaks." Jacob said, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." He said to him, "What is your name?" He said, "Jacob." He said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have fought with God and with men and have prevailed." Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." He said, "Why is it that you ask that my name is?" So he blessed him there. Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for he said, "I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved." The sun rose on him as he passed over Peniel, and he limped because of his thigh. Therefore, the children of Israel don't eat the sinew of the hip which is on the hollow of the thigh to this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh and the sinew of the hip. Hmm. I have to go back and look at that because I don't really understand. Therefore this day the Israelites do not eat the tendon of the hip, which is on the socket of the thigh, because he touched the socket of Jacob's thigh by the tendon of the hip. Okay. Okay, amen. I have to go back, and that's Genesis 32. Amen. Genesis 32. So Genesis 33, that's something, I guess that's when he changed from Jacob to Israel. When God came and touched him and made him change, correct? I have to go back and look at that. Amen. So Genesis 33, Jacob meets Esau. Huh. Okay. Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming with him 400 men. He divided the children between Leah and Rachel and the two servants. He put the servants and their children in front, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph at the rear. He himself passed over in front of them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. Esau ran to meet him, embraced him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. He lifted up his eyes and saw that the women and the children, and said, "Who are these with you?" He said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the servants came near with their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah and her children came near and bowed themselves. After them, Joseph came with Rachel, and they bowed, and Esau said, "What do you mean by all of this company which I met?" Jacob said, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Let that which you have be yours." Jacob said, "Please, no. If I have now found favor in your sight, then receive my present from my hand." So he's saying, if, take my presents, because I have seen your face as one sees the face of God, and you were pleased with me. Please take the gift that I brought you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. He urged him to take it. Esau said, "Let's take our journey and let's go, and I will go before you." Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are tender, and the flocks and the herds with me have their young, and if they overdrive them one day, all the flocks will die. Please let my Lord pass over before his servant, and I will lead on gently according to the according to the pace of the livestock that are before me, and according to the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord to Seir." Esau said, "Let me now leave with you some of the people who are with me." He said, "Why? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir. Jacob traveled to Succoth, built himself a house, and made shelters for his livestock. Therefore, the name of this place is called Succoth. Jacob came in peace to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. When he came from Paddan Aram and encamped before the city, he brought the parcel of the ground where he had spread his tent at the hand of his children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. He erected an altar there and called it Elohe, Israel. Amen. So that is Genesis 33. And so one more, I'll read one more chapter, which is Genesis 34. Amen. For Genesis, and then we'll be caught up with Genesis. Um, Genesis 34. So the treachery of Jacob's sons, and this is Genesis 34. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Amen. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hivite, the prince of the land, saw her. He took her, lay with her, and humbled her. His soul joined to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young lady and spoke kindly to the young lady. Shechem spoke to his father, Hamor, saying, "Get me this young lady as a wife." Now Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, and his sons were with his livestock in the field. Jacob held his peace until they came. Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to talk with him. The sons of Jacob came in from the field. When they heard it, the men were grieved, and they were very angry because he had done folly in Israel and lying with Jacob's daughter, a thing that ought not be done. Amen. Hamor talked with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife. Make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us. Take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land will be before you. Live and trade in it and get possessions in it." Shechem said to her father and to her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you will tell me, I will give. Ask me a great amount for a dowry, and I will give whatever you ask of me. But give me the young lady as a wife." The sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, with deceit when they spoke. Because he had defiled Dinah, their sister, he said to them, "We can't do this thing to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised." Amen. Amen. For that is a reproach to us. Only on this condition we will consent to you. But if you will be as we are, that every male of you be circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you. We will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you don't listen, then you can't have our sisters, and we will be gone. So they're saying, basically, and unless you conform to what we're saying as far as have your guys circumcised, we cannot be with you all. Hi, thank you so much. Amen. Amen. Their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. The young man did not wait to do this thing because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was honored above all the house of his father. Hamor and Shechem, his son, came to the gate of their city and talked with the men of their city, saying, "These men are peaceful with us. Therefore, let them live in the land and trade in it. For behold, the land is large enough for them. Let's take their daughters to us for wives, and let's give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consent to us to live with us, to become one people of every male among is circumcised as they are circumcised. Won't their livestock and their possessions and all their animals be ours? Only let's give our consent to them, and then they will dwell with us. All who went out of the gate of the city listened to Hamor and Shechem, his son, that every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of the city. On the third day, when they were sore, two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, Dana's brothers, each took his sword, came upon the unsuspecting city, and killed all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem, his sons, with the edge of the sword, and took Dana out of Shechem's house and went away. Jacob's sons came on the dead and plundered the city because they had defiled their sister. They took their flocks, their herds, their donkeys, that which was in the city, that which was in the field, and all their wealth. They took captive all of their little ones and their wives, and took as plunder everything that was in the house. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, you have troubled me to make me odious to the inhabitants of the land among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. I am a I am few in number. They will gather themselves together against me and strike me, and I will be destroyed, and my house. I am my house. They said, should he deal with our sister as a prostitute? Wow, that is deep. That is deep. God bless you. God bless everybody. God bless you. Amen. That is deep. I'm going to have to go back on my own and read that because I really don't understand what just happened. And Genesis, I just read Genesis 34. Amen. But I'm just reading straight through. So Mark 6 and 14 is where I stopped the last time. Amen. Mark 6 and 14. Amen. Mark 6 and 14 through 56. Mark 6. Okay. Amen. Amen. God bless you. God bless you. Um, amen. God bless you. All right. King Herod heard this, for his name had become known, and he said, John the baptizer has risen from the dead, and therefore these powers are at work in him. But others said, he is Elijah. Others said, he is a prophet, or like one of the prophets. But Herod, when he heard this, said, this is John, whom I beheaded. He has risen from the dead. For Herod himself had sent out and arrested John and bound him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, for he had married her. For John had said to Herod, it is not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. Herodias set herself against him and desired to kill him, but she couldn't. For Herod feared John, knowing that he was a righteous man and a holy man, amen, and kept him safe. When he heard him, he did many things, and he heard him gladly. Then a convenient day came, and when Herod on his birthday made a supper for his nobles, the high officer, and the chief men of Galilee, when the daughters of Herodias herself came in and danced, she pleased Herod and those sitting with him. Amen. The king said to the young lady, ask me whatever you want and I will give it to you. He swore to her, whatever you ask me, I will give it to you, up to half my kingdom. And she went out and said to her mother, what shall I ask? You know, she didn't know what to ask. So she went out to her mama and asked, what should she ask? She said, ask for the head of John the Baptist. And she came immediately with haste to the king and requested, I want you to give me right now the head of John the Baptizer on a platter, right? The king was exceedingly sorry, but for the sake of his oath, he had to honor what he said. Amen. um, the king, he had to honor it. So immediately the king sent out a soldier and commanded them to bring back John's head. And he went and beheaded him in the prison and brought his head on a platter and gave it to the young lady. And the young lady gave it to her mother. When the disciples heard this, they came back and took up his corpse and laid it into the tomb. And the apostles gathered themselves together to Jesus and told him all these things that they have done and whatever they had taught. And he said to them, come away into a deserted place and rest a while. For were many coming and going, and they had no leisure so much as to eat. They went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves, and they saw them going, and many recognized him and ran there on foot from all the cities. They arrived before him and came together to him. Jesus came out and saw there was a lot of people, and he had compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he began to teach many things. When it was late in the day, his disciples came to him and said, this place is deserted, and it is late in the day. Send them away that they may go out into the surrounding country villages and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat. Amen. But he answered them saying, you give them something to eat. So Jesus is telling them, you give them something to eat. And they asked, shall we go and buy 200 um, uh, denarii worth of bread and give them something to eat? He said to them, how many loaves do you have? Go see. And so when he when when they knew, they said, we have 5 loaves and 2 fish. So 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, right? He commanded them that everyone should sit down in groups on the grass, and they sat down by ranks, by hundreds and by fifties. He took 5 loaves and 2 fish and looked up to heaven, and he blessed and broke the loaves, and he gave his disciples to set before them and divided the 2 fish among all them people. And they ate and they were full. Amen. They took up 12 baskets of broken pieces and also of the fish. Who ate the loaves were 5,000 men. With 2 fish and 5 loaves, 5,000 men ate. Ain't God good? Immediately he made his disciples get in the boat and go to the other side, Bethesda, while he himself sent the multitude away. After he had taken leave of them, he went up on the mountain to pray. When the evening had come, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. Seeing them distressed and rowing, for the wind was contrary to them, about the fourth watch of the night, and he, came to them walking on the sea, and he would have passed them by. But they, when they saw him walking on the sea, supposed that it was a ghost, and cried out, for they saw him and were troubled. But he immediately spoke to them and saying, cheer up, it is, don't be afraid. He got into the boat with them, and the wind ceased. And they were very amazed among themselves and marveled, for they had not understood about the loaves, but their hearts were hardened. When they had crossed over, they came to a land at Gennesaret and moored to the shore. When they had come out of the boat, immediately the people recognized him, and they ran around that whole region and began to bring those who were sick on their mats to where he was. Wherever he entered, into villages, cities, the country, they laid the sick in the marketplaces and begged him that they might just touch the fringe of his garment. As many touched him, they were made well. Amen. So that is the part, Mark 6, where Jesus walked on water and calmed the sea. Amen. And that was Mark 6. So I am going to what I have left, but I know I probably need to save this for later. I have Mark 7, Psalms 7, and Psalms 8 left. And I think I'll read that later. Um, my husband just came home, and I am going to go ahead and stop. I appreciate everyone. I let's see. Hi, Queen. Hey, amen. Are you excited for your 4 day? God bless. He is with you. I receive all of that. Yes, I am. Um, I'm always excited to be able to come on to fellowship and to read the word. Amen. And so thank you all for being here with me. Sorry about earlier when I had to get off, and that's why I just jumped back on. But now I am going to get off. I thank you for being on, and I will be on a little later to read Mark 7, 1 through 30. I might just read all of Mark. Mark 7, Psalm 7, and 8. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. God bless everyone.